So my name is Tony Gonzalez from Made in Metal, and today we are going to talk with the drummer Herman Rarebell, who has released a new recording. The name of the recording is What About Love? And the band is Herman Rarebell and Friends. Hello, Herman, how are you?
Yes, I'm so far so good, Tony. Everything good. You said What About Love? Yeah, this is the name of the album and single. Did you also see the video at it?
Yes, I know. I have listened all the CD.
What is your favorite song?
My favorite song is the song that you wrote, or are the song that you wrote.
Yeah.
Like a Hurricane and Passion Rules the Game. But for example, Addicted to Love is really good to me. And I have the list. I Love Rock and Roll
Yeah, me too.
is good to me. But I want to ask you about some of the covers that you did. Yes?
Yeah.
Yes, my first question is, why did you decide to record some covers from the 80s?
The reason for this was very simple. For me, the 80s were the golden years for me personally. For me, my time with the Scorpions was in the 80s, was the main years. We played America up and down, as you know. And I think not only Scorpions wrote good songs. In those times, I think the team of Schenker, Meine, Rarebell wrote Rock You Like a Hurricane. I wrote also Passion Rules the Game. Klaus wrote the lyrics. And in this song, I wrote the music. Most of the other songs, I wrote the lyrics, and Rudolph wrote the music. But I think I wanted to bring this feeling back to all the people so they know what they missed, basically. And I think, I can say to every song something. For example, I Love Rock and Roll. I remember we had a tour then in Europe, and John Jett was the opening act. So I hear this every night. I hear her play on stage, I Love Rock and Roll, It was great reaction of the people. Everybody was singing, I love rock and roll. So also I was a close friend of Robert Palmer. He came to my wedding in Monaco, and I also went several times to visit him in Milano. And he came in the studio from Peter Dirks, and it was in the time we did the Rhythm of Love. This was the time also he released then Addicted to Love. I love the song, so I did this in honor of him. Then we did many tours with Whitesnake, David Coverdale, Whitesnake. So that was the reason for choose the song as a timeless ballad, I think, Here I Go Again. The same goes for I Want to Know What Love Is. This song will be still played in 100 years, I'm sure, because it's one of those hymns, which always stays in your mind, So we played also many festivals, obviously with Foreigner, But when the song What About Love made me think about the time we live in. What about love? What happened to love? Everybody around me is hating somebody for what reason? What is the goal here? Are we all going to go to the other side and blow our heads off with atomic weapons? Are we completely out of our mind now? And I think it's about time to remind people also of love and peace. I think that's better than war. Definitely, war. There is no winners in an atomic war. Believe me, all the radioactivity will be so bad, it will destroy us all. So for me, this is somebody people need to be reminded, because we need to build more guns, more airplanes, more tanks, for what, more instruments to kill innocent people, this is the way I look at it. But then this was also a reason for me, What About Love? And then when I needed the musician, my co-producer Michael Voss, he phoned up Howard Lees, who's the original guitar player in Heart. He's on the album. He plays on the song What About Love. Also the original writer Jim Balance. He's on the piano in the video. He wrote a lot of hits, as you know, all the hits for Bryan Adams, all the hits for Aerosmith, Armageddon, and Crazy. It's all Jim Balance. And I'm very proud to have him in my video. He's an old friend. So, and Bob Daisley, who comes from Black Sabbath, also said immediately yes. And also Dan Huff, they all wanted to be there on the music because they like the message, the message of what happened to love, what about love. And I think this is one of the greatest hits and also ballads of all time. So that was the reason for me doing it again, you know. And I'm very happy to have the original people involved in the song too, you know. Couldn't have been better than to have the guitar player from Heart in the video and in the song, you know. So there he is, how at least. So very proud of that, very happy. And I'm very happy also that everybody delivered this message without wanting any money for it, you know. They just said to me, Herman, we help you to deliver this message because it's an important message to the world that we stand behind love. We like to represent love and not hate. So I said, good. And then you're on the right address, you know, let's do the song. And in nowadays world, you can actually send your song digital in seconds to America or where he is in Australia, you know, what they say. So all this was easy to do. I'm here in Brighton, in England, as you can see. But here is a very good musical place. You know, for example, Michael Schenker just lives down the road from me here, 4 streets. Gary Moore, who passed away, also lived 4 streets away from me here. Then Phil Mock, the singer from UFO, he lives in Sardine, it's the next village. So we have Nick Cave live here. David Gilmour from Pink Floyd, a lot of musicians, as I said, live here, you know. It's also a good scene for theater and people who learn the language. A lot of young people here. I think it's a very vibrant city. Have you ever been to Brighton?
As long as I am listening, the selection was done according to your personal taste. Yes, some of your friends in the band tell you, why don't we do this song or that other song?
Oh no! Well, I picked out all the songs. I said I like to have the songs on the album. Here I have a personal story. I can talk about all this because don't forget, in those days we influenced a lot of American heavy metal bands. You know, like the Motley Crue wanted me to produce them at some point. You know, then John Bon Jovi, then Metallica. All those bands, as you know, are all stadium bands now. You know, so but. I remember in the beginning, they all came to me. Yeah, I played Scorpions music already in the early 70s, 75, 76, 77. And they were all fans from Uli Ross, you know, especially Eddie Van Halen. Said, where's Uli? Oh, I love his playing, you know. So obviously we influenced a lot of people. Also, Michael Schenker and myself. I remember a few years ago we did a gig on a boat. It was called 78,000 tons of metal, and the boat was from Miami to Kingston in Jamaica and back again today. So we had to play 1 hour on the way down there and 1 hour again. And all the young metal bands, they all came to Michael Schenker and me. They were all kneeling down and they said, "Oh, you influenced me. You can't imagine Herman." Then the next one to Michael, the kids, "Yeah, I started playing guitar because of you." So we were big influencing musicians at that time, you know. So now I think it's a different game altogether. There's so many bands I see, but I never heard, and I go, where they come from, you know. Then suddenly I hear them on the radio, and I go, wow, very good. It changes, and that's very good. That means rock will never die, and it will go on just in different forms, I think.
But let me confess you that taking into account the way you play the drums, because I have seen you in the Scorpions with Michael Schenker, and I saw you with your band Rarebell at Hellfest. Taking account the way you play the drums, I imagine that you like musical styles stronger than this that you have recorded now.
Oh, I see. Oh, you mean I could play heavier or what?
No, you usually play heavier.
No.
But that these songs are more related to rock, pop rock, and things like that. This is a thing that catch my attention. Yes, tell me about.
Obviously, you know, I picked also songs, you know, which mean a lot for me as a drummer, like In the Air Tonight. How can you ever forget Phil, like the Phil Collins song, In the Air Tonight? Boom, 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 bum, bum. For the great Phil, it's an all-time classic drum fill, you know. So things like this, I also thought to myself, yeah. And I think also live, and I think if I play live, I like to play the last song on the show, I Love Rock and Roll, because it's a great song for everybody to sing along with. I've seen it with with John Jett when she played live with us. I think we even played that on this tour also in Spain. I don't know anymore. It was 84. It was killer. And she nailed it down every night. And the people were singing even long time this song when they already left the stage. You know, they were already sitting in the dressing room. People still sing, I love rock and roll. It was crazy every night, you know. So this is one of those classic rock songs forever, you know. And obviously I had to do 2 Scorpion songs. And I did Passion Fruit's the Game, which I wrote back in 88, around that time, 87, you know. And Klaus in this time wrote the lyrics and I did the music. And Rocky Like a Hurricane, Rudolph did the music, I did the lyrics. So I was always involved. And I think, you know, when I listened to the albums they did after I left, you know, that the last time you're going to do an album like Blackout, I think then you would have to involve the people from Blackout. Me, Francis, and also the producer, Dieter Dirks. Then you have the original band. Then only it will sound like Blackout. But now, for me, it has nothing to do with Blackout. So this is what I think, you know, people always have favorite bands, you know, where they see the same people. And if one goes, then they're all sad. I've been sad when I was a kid, you know, and suddenly I've seen, you know, the Rolling Stones suddenly play with a different bass player. I was really sad. For me, this was a big thing, you know. And I guess, you know, that's what people feel about Scorpions. I get emails, yeah, it's not the same anymore. Nothing is the same. Life is life. Life changes consistently. I'm not the same that I'm 50 years ago. You know, now I'm 75. So, unfortunately, in my head, I'm still 20, you know. But if I drink, let's say, 2 or 3 glasses of wine, I feel in my body tells me the next day, you're not 20 anymore, so stop doing this shit. So I pay the price. So what I mean is, this is a constant change in our life. This is later on, when even in 10 years from now, I would be 85. I've seen Ginger Baker when we did here in Brighton. We had the Drum Legends, one of the things I did with Pete York and Ginger Baker, and we played here at the Brighton Dome. And I can tell you, I could see he was then 80. This was 2019, 12th of April. And 4 months later, he died. And he showed me the operation on the heart. He said, look at this, you know, that's it, you know. And you could see his energy was not there anymore playing, you know. So I guess, especially as a drummer, you need to be physically fit until you're old. Mm. I mean, B.B. King died when he was 86 in the club.
Yes.
So it's what I mean. I don't like to play when I'm 86. I think that's a bit. Now I hear the Scorpions just stop, you know.
Yes, it was really good. It was really, really good that you invite Howard Lees on guitar, because after leaving Heart, the band, I lost the traces of his job. Tell me, how did you pay attention to him, to Howard Lees, and contact him to be in this recording?
Well, the contact was made to Howard by Michael Voss, who is also the producer of Michael Schenker, as you know, and he was our first singer in Temple of Rock. That's how I met him, through Michael Schenker, you know. And he phoned him up and he talked and he said, I'm here in the studio with Herman, who's doing his solo album, and he wants to do a song from Heart again. What about love? Would you be interested in playing the guitars? He said, yeah, send me the song. So Michael sent him the song, and he played in America his solo, sent it back to us. We mixed it, and then we said to him, get yourself a camera, film yourself, because we need you in the video. And he did that too. And it was really easy. And he was immediately behind us, you know. So he said to me, it's an honor to play with you. I always like your drumming and so on, you know. So it was really real friends this time. letting me do this.
Another musician that is in your recording, you mentioned previously Gary Moore, is Neil Carter, who appears on the After the War, the recording from Gary Moore. How could you meet or convince him to play in this recording?
He lives here in Brighton, you know. He is here in Brighton, you know. So I know him for a long time. He plays also with my friend Phil Mock, who is a singer from UFO. And so we see each other all the time in the pub or wherever I go, the clubs or wherever I go and eat. He's there, so, and he knows also Michael Voss, you know. So it was another candidate, the same with Dan Huff. Michael first produced the last Michael Schenker album where all the guest guitar players like Slash played on there, Axl Rose played on there, the singer from Europe, and all those guys played on Michael Schenker's album. And Michael Voss produced it, so he knows them all personally. So it was very easy. It was a phone call, really. I know them from before, also from the road. Don't forget, I've been playing with these people in the 80s, all those people. Also, Slash and also Axl, I seen them the first time when they started at the Whiskey A Go-Go. I remember when I see them the first time, I said to Udo, this is going to be a new band, watch out for them. And sure enough, a year later, they were #1 in the United States, you know.
I never had the opportunity to see Guns N' Roses in this time because I was born in Cuba and I am living here in Spain only in the last 15 years. Yeah. For this reason, now that you mentioned Guns N' Roses, could you imagine in 1988 when you were there in that moment that the band will be one of the biggest in this world?
I think I couldn't imagine, but I did know when I seen them in '88 for the first time. I knew their habits, you know. I knew they could score. Also, I remember the bass player Duff. He was also once an opening band for the Scorpions, you know, on one tour. I forgot the year, but they definitely had it, those guys, you know. But they're also appetite for destruction, you know, as the title is. I think they could also self-destroy themselves really easy. As you can see, Slash did a great band with Michael Kennedy, you know, really good stuff, you know. And I remember when the Classic Rock magazine, London, England, gave the best guitar player in England away to Michael Schenker. All the guitar players were there also from America. He came also to our table. Hi, congratulations. I know even before he was famous, he came backstage and he wanted to meet Michael Schenker because he was a fan. And I said, I don't know where he is. But in the very early days, he played with Michael Schenker in UFO some concert with him already on stage. It's on YouTube. When you do. But on the album, it was, I think, what they're both liked playing in one song, Mother Mary. Killer stuff, you know, really good stuff.
You have taken 2 songs from Scorpion, Passion Roots Again, Rocking Like a Hurricane, as I told you at the beginning, was one of my favorite songs in the recording. And why did you select these songs, taking account that you co-wrote more songs in Scorpion? For example, maybe Tease Me, Please Me, Bad Boy Running Wild, Arizona are songs that you co-wrote. Why did you decide to take Passion Roots Again and Rocking Like a Hurricane?
Well, I wrote Passion Roots Again. I wrote the music, and Klaus wrote the lyrics, and Passion Roots Again. And the other one, Rocking Like a Hurricane, I wrote the lyrics, you know, and wrote the music, basically. And that's the reason. I wanted to have 2 of my songs on there, too, just to make a statement. Those 2 songs were written in the 80s and made a big statement in America. Rocking Like a Hurricane was top 10 Billboard charts, and the same goes for Passion Roots Again. It was number 17 in the Billboard charts. So both those songs made a big impact in the United States, and all the others which I took were all big hits in the 80s, as you know. And one of those songs, by the way, What About Love, was 85. It was a huge hit in America, I think 5 or 6 months long, #1. And what's funny is that Howard is now playing the guitar on this. And I said, what you want? He said, nothing. It's an honor for me, you know, for the message. So that made me really, really happy that they all got the point, you know, that we wanted to make a very strong message, because our world is hate, hate, hate everywhere you look at it, you know. So I'm very happy right now that finally people try to make peace, you know, after 3 years war now in Ukraine. You know, ridiculous, you know, what happened there. So all those things, I look at the people and I think you have to make also something as a musician. Music is a strong thing, a statement. As you know, we were one of the bands who played the Moscow Music Peace Festival. And then Klaus created the song Wind of Change. It was a big statement, you know, like brothers, you know. And it was one of the biggest hits in the history at that time. And so the Moscow Music Peace Festival made a statement between the East and the West. And in those days, at least we believed that we could change the world into a better place of love and peace and bring East and West together. You saw what happened, the opposite, the complete crazy opposite, you know. But I think, you know, people realize now more and more, especially young people, you know, my choice is, do I blow myself up now with an atomic bomb, or do I try to make peace and look forward to the future and make something nice on this planet besides killing each other? Look at this stupid war. How many dead young people are there? I think it's about 600, 700,000 in Ukraine and about 900,000 in Russia. Crazy. All young men between 20 and 30. What for? There's no winner.
I agree with you. The young soldiers die and the generals put the medals.
But for what? For what? For what did they die, those young kids, you know?
Yes.
All those now have no son, or how many wives, or how many young kids have no father anymore. And I think this is terrible for me when I see this. And I watch this and I think to myself, I wish I could write a song like Imagine again, you know. Mm. But then came What About Love? And I said, that's it, that is the song. And I was so happy to have the writer in the video and the guitar player. That shows you a good song doesn't die, and the message doesn't die either, you know.
And Herman, you have been a long time user of Ludwig drums and paste cymbals. Do you still use them? What is your regular drum kit?
I think, you know, I have also a few TW, you know, drums. I have a white one, I have a gray glass one, and the CW. I like actually the hardware on TW much better than Ludwig, you know. But then, you know, I have also a 26 bass drum from Ludwig. It's one of the few John Bonham drums, you know, which I love that drum kit. The sound is very deep, fat sound. And I combine it with the hardware from DW, you know. Sometimes, you know, when I did the classic thing, Scorpion Song Symphonic, I used a white DW drum kit, which had a 22-inch bass drum and smaller stand toms and hang toms, and sounds really good, DW. So this is my favorite choice, but those two companies. I endorsed also at one time Pearl, and then, yeah, Pearl was a long time, actually. But the longest I endorsed is Este. Este is for me the best. I like more than Sumérgete.
Yeah.
Are you a drummer?
No, but I like the drums very, very, very.
Good.
Yes, yeah. I like the drums. I pay attention to the drummers all the time because I told you before that I'm Cuban, the Caribbean island, and there is a long tradition in Cuba of good drummers. And for this reason, we are always paying attention to the drums. This is the reason why I ask. And in this recording, did you use different drums or only one?
DW in this recording, because for recording it had a finer sound for this, you know, and I could choose, you know, and I liked it. I sometimes swap the snare drum. Sometimes I use an old snare drum from Ludwig. the silver one, you know.
Yes.
And I had two, a Gretsch also. I used different snares, yeah. So not everything is the same snare.
Yes. And now that you mentioned the Moscow Music Peace Festival, that it was in 1989, could you tell me what was your best memory for that moment?
Oh, the Peace Festival. It was very good to see. I'll never forget when you played the stadium there. In the middle of the stadium, there were about 800 or 1,000 Russian soldiers, yeah, to control the audience, yeah. And then when we started to play, they take their hats off and they throw the hats in the air, you know. And as I'm sitting there behind the drums and I see this, and I'm thinking, that's it. This is going to be the end of the Soviet Union. I'm thinking to myself, over, rock and roll has won. This was my feeling, you know. Seeing those people singing as long to blackout and stuff like this, I couldn't believe it, you know. But don't forget, we're a small band coming from Germany. Here we are playing of thousands to thousands of Russians. And the stadium was, I think, 150,000 in the stadium, and then the screens outside. So it was mind-blowing. Also, the thought behind this Moscow Music Peace Festival. Make peace finally, especially in the United States and the Soviet Union at the time. And then what happened now, when all this happened, what happened in last year, I was simply, I'm thinking, fuck, man, all this was for nothing, you know, I can't believe it, you know. This is what I'm thinking.
No, but it's your point of view, but I don't think so, because it was a period of peace that it was longer, was the 90s,
Yeah, I agree.
the 20s, yes, and imagine that it won't happen. You understand, maybe we won't be here. Yes,
Yeah.
the problem is that we need to fight for the peace wherever
Absolutely.
we are and whoever we are. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I got a daughter and I have two grandchildren too. You know, there's my little one is 1.5 years and my granddaughter is 4 years. Those kids deserve a future, you know. When we are responsible for make them a good future. This is what I feel, because we know the other way around what will happen then. If you let them all those crazy people go ahead, you know, we're not going to be alive anymore. They're going to blow us up simply. That's it, you know.
So you mentioned Michael Schenker more than once, and I would like to ask you, because as long as I know, it was Michael Schenker who recommended you for the position in Scorpion in 1977. Later, you took part in Michael Schenker's Temple of Rock. Yes, and I would like that to ask you, how is your feelings about Michael Schenker? How is your friendship?
I love him. To make a long story short, you know, I love him how he is, you know. And he probably loves me too the way I am. You know, we talk to each other the way we think things should go. And I made, after the album he did with all the people, from the guest people, he did an acoustic people. And I played the drums on this album, and Michael Voss and Vanessa van der Voss both sing on this album. I play the drums, and Michael plays also bass guitar on the album. And it sounds awesome. It sounds really good. So I have a feeling this album is supposed to come out, I think, in the autumn of this year. So if it comes out and goes into the charts, yeah, it has chances. It's very commercial, very nice melodies. I probably will tour with him again then, you know. Probably go to Japan again and all the cities where he's really big, you know. But let's see. There's a long time to the autumn. Maybe the record company is not releasing it this year, releasing it in 26. That would mean the touring and everything would then be in 26. I have no hurry anyway. I've made so many tours in my life, so I'm in no hurry to do another tour, another tour, another tour. For me, it must make sense now, you know. There's no point for me to go now on tour and play 50 gigs in different clubs, you know. I'd rather go in the summer and play 10 concerts in some festivals, you know, that kind of thing. Let's see what happens.
You and Michael Checker are friends for almost 50 years.
Yeah.
So that means that you met Michael Schenker before your wife, before your children, before your grandson. Yes,
Yeah.
it's a long friendship.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And tell me, did you take Michael Boss? Did you invite Michael Boss for this recording because you meet him when you were playing together in Temple of Rock?
Yeah. I tell you what, Michael Schenker said to me, I'm going to introduce you now to a German singer. He's from Münster, and I think he's a really great singer. Come on, we go to the studio. So we went to the studio, me and him, Michael Schenker and me. So I'm meeting Michael Voss, and we got on immediately, you know, the same wavelengths, you know. And I see how he worked in the studio, very fast. You have an idea, boom, he transforms it. That's what I like. And I don't want to sit there and wait 10 hours before a producer can transform what I like to hear. So we got on, and since that time I know him. And when then he was our singer, then as you know, Michael Schenker wanted to have Doobie White as a singer. Then another guy, whatever, came into his crazy head, you know, he did at the time. So suddenly Michael Voss was out of the band, and suddenly he was doing more production work, more like what a producer would do in the studio, just the two of them doing whatever they did. And in the end, I used to go there and play drums and all the stuff. But anyway, this was this time not the case. This time, Michael Voss was sitting there, and I said to Michael Voss, "Look, I want to do an album, and I like to do a classic trip back to the 80s and take the biggest hits from the 80s. Can we do this?" Yeah, he said, "Not a problem. Come to me, Black Forest, you know, and then we do the basic tracks, and we start from there." That's what we did, and then this came out what you heard, you know. But Michael Voss is also a long time friend. I know him now as long as Michael Schenker knows him, probably 15, 20 years now, you know, when he came, you know, out of nowhere. Part of the family now, really.
Yeah. And do you have any idea to give or to take this project alive, playing in a concert locally or internationally?
I have no idea. I think right now I'm going to see what happened to the album. Don't forget Slash, you know, Michael Voss told me this. He also made an album where he covered old songs, you know. He went #1 with this album in America, but he took all the old blues covers, you know, which he grew up with. And he had singers like Paul Rodgers on the album, different singers, but not his own songs. It was all cover songs. So I think personally, that is what people still wanted to hear. Those songs are classic songs. They don't go away. I can see that Rocky Like a Hurricane is still requested after all those years for advertisements, for films. Unbelievable, you know. So this is an all-time classic, the publishers would say, this song. And this was the same song with the album Slash did. They were all classics, you know, from 30, 40 years ago, you know. And it worked. As you know, people like to hear this kind of thing. I personally think. Although I feel that the 80s I like. You asked me about performing live. Yes, of course, you know, but it must make sense. You know, a festival would be good thing to introduce those songs because of the atmosphere. I can see on the festival when you play a song, I Love Rock and Roll. That's it, you know, you have 50,000 people singing along. I love rock and roll, I can see this. But as I said earlier, I don't need to go out now and do a long tour, which is 8 months long, all this. That I don't want to do anymore. For this, I'm definitely too old, you know. What makes me more tired than the playing is the actually traveling, you know. from there to there to there. Nowadays, it's no more fun because all the airlines are late, all the trains are late. There's not one in time anymore. It's ridiculous, you know. So you might as well just go there and stay there and wait till the next one comes, you know. So for me, the traveling is a big fuck up, you know, nowadays. When you're on the road, you know. I like the 80s. It was more fluid then. Every day, yeah, we were every day in the airplane, but they were all on time, you know. And when they said the flight leaves at 8, it left at 8, you know, not at 10.
And so, Herman, those were our questions. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate this conversation.
Oh, well, me too. Thank you for your time, Tony. If you ever see me play somewhere, please come and say hello. I'll make sure you get a guest pass and all that stuff, okay?
Perfect. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, Tony. Take care, you know. Say hello to.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now, yeah.